Hello. Hello. How are you today?
We made it.
We did, yes. I was fluffing about in the bathroom and just all of a sudden, what you've got 4 minutes and then suddenly it's none. I don't know how that happens. It's always that kind of getting towards the end of time. It sort of has that exponential curve of how quickly it goes, doesn't it? So and off it goes.
Yes, it goes off in your hand, as I believe somebody once said.
Oh, mate.
That's the Paula Jenkins comment. Good friend of mine.
That's definitely a Kenneth Williams comment.
Very much.
Oh dear. So what have you been up to this week?
Well, there's an awful lot of people out there who I've been in contact with who have had a very, very trying week. Where,
really?
I know we've got this conjunct with the Saturn and Jupiter and what have you going on, but it really seems to be playing a lot of havoc with people. Their plans, or what small plans they're trying to make, all seem to be getting a bit kind of kicked out in the air. So there's a lot of annoyance and frustration in the air. That's the feeling I get. So there's a lot of magical work that needs to happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's just so annoying though, and when you've got planets doing that and you kind of think, well, yeah, you've got to take some kind of responsibility for it, but by the same token, you've got other stuff going on that it's out of your control. It really is out of your control, and if it affects people, then it does. And I've had a funny week. I think I've had one of the most emotional weeks that I've had in I don't know when. And when I say emotional, I don't mean sort of miserable, because I haven't had a miserable week. Hello. I haven't had a miserable week. It's just been literally emotional, as in a plethora of different emotions, just constantly. And it's been the extremes, sort of one minute I've been elated and the next minute I've been proper down in the doldrums and stuff. Only through external circumstances. But it's just been an emotional
roller coaster. That's what I'm picking up off other people as well. It's like, it's not that everyone's saying it's all bad and everything's gone to hell in a handcart, whatever the phrase is. It is simply that it is very extreme. Things are really up, really down, very accentuated and very emotional as well.
I
think everyone's
We've got Frankie's Finds. Hello, Frankie. And we've got Becky in. Hello, lovely. And we've got Janet Readerup. I'm not sure what it's all together each time, but hello, Janet. Yes, it's been a crazy time. Yeah, I think it's just been bonkers, really. Let's say with external circumstances, it's nice when you get the highs and not so nice when you get the lows if it's not your fault. But my God, it's just been full on actually this week. So part of it's been very nice. Most of it's been very, very nice, but
you kind of want to kind of get through it all and kind of come out the other side. I think that's the feeling of it, really. At this time of year, there is that feeling of plunging into the very darkness. I really struggle to get myself going in the morning. Even it's literally that draining kind of tired energy sort of feeling. And I know that will all flip round for us with the solstice and what's coming. But it's that descent, that deep, dark descent to the very, very darkest place. And this year, it feels like it more than ever, actually. I feel like it's darker than Halloween was this year. I feel that the energies are spiraling.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of people been commenting that they're not sort of feeling the seasonal spirit, so to speak. There's been quite a lot of people saying that, and you were always going to get that every year. Oh, I just don't seem to be feeling very seasonal, says somebody on the internet. And you think, well, you and half a dozen others. Actually, there's a lot of people that are really struggling. I think it's just, it's weird. And you think, oh, hello, we have a stripy cat. And you think the fact that so many people put up their Christmas lights and Christmas decorations early, I don't know whether the novelty's worn off, and that's why. It's sort of maybe it seemed a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we say hello to Stripey Cat?
Oh, indeed.
Come on. Ready? No. He says, I'm going to ruin and destroy your chair. Oi.
Oh, lovely. I'm intrigued by Frankie's Finds having supposed to get 6 to 12 inches of snow overnight. I mean, part of me thinks that's quite exciting because we don't get that very much in this part of the world. But part of me thinks, oh, that's going to be quite something, isn't it? Not all good, I suppose. Good luck with that, Frankie's Finds.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you, Frankie's Finds? I wonder.
I think they're in America.
Ah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm guessing too. I think probably even in the wilds of Scotland, you're not likely to get that. Oh, we've got Abby in. Hello, Abby. Tiny
Jane.
And a Harriet. We have a Harriet. Hello, Harriet.
We called Janet. She's not Janet. She's Jane Trudarup. So we really butchered her name.
Oh,
that we got it right now. We know it's you, Jane. You won't make that mistake again.
I beg your pardon. I'm very, very sorry about that. Oh dear. Well, I managed to get some Christmas lights up this week, actually. I've got a little plum tree in my front garden. Well, actually, I say a little plum tree. It's an absolute whopper. We all like a whopper. So, yeah, it's huge. And I have little twinkly lights on it. It's very pretty. I'm rather pleased with it. It's probably the first year it's ever had Christmas lights on it, because the person that lived in this place before me was not the happiest of chaps. And the people that lived there before that didn't do the Christmas thing apparently either. So it's probably the first time it's ever had any Christmas lights. And it seems to quite like it to them.
I'm sure it gets the attention, yeah.
I told it what I was doing. It swayed a bit. Like they do.
Persuading it not to poke you in the eye whilst you're doing it.
Yeah, actually, I've got another plant. I can never remember what it's called, but it's one of these winter flowering things. It's massive. It's about, I don't know, about 12 or 14 feet high, this other plant. Usually you see them in sort of bush variety. This one's just got a bit straggly. And it's got these yellow flowers on it, which the birds love, which then go into purple berries in the springtime. But they look like fireworks. They're amazing things. They really are lovely. But the leaves, oh God, they're like razors. Absolutely they are. I mean, you think holly's prickly. Oh, there's not a patch on this stuff. And I can never remember what it's called.
No.
It's the yellow prickly thing that I usually swear at as I walk past.
It's the prickly bush.
The prickly bush thing, yeah. Anyway, I did get stabbed by that a couple of times putting my lights up. So that got told off while I was cooing to my plum tree. So, yes.
Oh, you've got a Harriet. You've got Harriet Coleman in. You might remember her from back in November.
Yes, vaguely. Yes.
Join the movie. It's difficult, isn't it, trying to remember?
Yeah, I've got such an awful memory for names. I've always had a bad memory for names, but since I had head problems in 2012, 2013, and 2014, that's one of the things that I've lost from my memory. Actually, it's not an excuse; it's just a fact. And so, sincere apologies. I don't remember names. I really don't.
Yeah, if you can see a face, that makes a whole difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, although actually my facial recognition isn't what it was. It's better than it became. You know, when I had the surgery, I really kind of lost that, and I couldn't pick people out in the crowds. And I'm getting better, and I can do it a bit better than I could, but it's still quite a struggle. So yeah, I do struggle. It's improving though.
Well, that's good. It's so amazing the brain is that it can rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. You lose a bit, and then refixes it. Yeah. So yes, but the whole body does that anyway, doesn't it? It's amazing if you can kind of train bits to do what they want. You can get all sorts of stuff to reconnect and so on. I know you've had a good bout of that, haven't you?
Yes. Nerve regeneration is that's a new.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it's not an easy one candle spell.
No.
It's not going to get that done in 20 minutes while you sprouts born.
It's an ongoing process, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it is really. But amazing what you can do if you try.
Yeah.
Now I can't see a thing without my glasses on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make everybody's wording really huge. There we go. That's better.
There we go. Frankie's in central New York State. Because I found out, interestingly, that, you know, us Brits, we think of New York and we think of New York as in the city.
Yeah.
But New York State is actually huge.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And
There's lots
very
of greenery
countryside.
too.
And it's full of lovely old houses.
Yes. Yeah.
I found. Yeah. Wow.
Mind you, I suppose it's the same in reverse, isn't it? Americans tend to think of London as old London town and the fog and Big Ben and the fog, and that's about it, really. But obviously, London as a county is massive, and there's lots and lots of green spaces and so on. So, did you know that there's more? Oh, I'm going to get this wrong now. There's more trees and woodland in London than there is in Yorkshire.
Well, that's because Yorkshire doesn't have much in the way of tree cover.
No, it's all moors.
It's moors.
That's actually quite interesting, isn't it? And it's a whole comparison to assume that London's just concrete and brick, but actually there's quite a lot there. It's quite nice when you sort of see statistics like that. I quite like things like that.
Well, they have all the big parks as well. You know, St James's Park, Green Park, and all of that. You know, I mean, it's all glorious.
Yeah, and it all adds up to it, doesn't it?
It does. And a lot of the suburbs are very leafy, and they all come under the same heading.
Yeah,
so.
All under the umbrella. All under the tier 3 umbrella, but we're not going to go down that route.
No, we'll just let that one lie, I think.
Just going to leave that one on the doormat. Now, if anybody's got any questions for us, I'm more than happy to answer any questions, witchcraft related mostly, although I suppose it doesn't have to be. Otherwise, you're just going to have to listen to us wittering on, and at some point in time, we'll have to find a cat. So, yes, I think that's probably what's going to happen. You got any cats nearby that you can snap it?
No, I haven't. One cat is extremely annoyed with me because I gave it the deflea treatment, and it really doesn't get on with it, and it behaved very strangely. But it's starting to get a little, you know how they sort of overgrown their tails. Well, this is a long-haired one, so he's looking a little bit less furred than he should. So I'm going to see how it goes. But I mean, obviously, I have to take him to the vets if this second dose doesn't clear it up. But it
definitely fleas, though, not an allergy.
I think it is fleas, because obviously at this time of year they you know, being indoors, it tends to be a thing. And the other cat's fine with this medication, but I think he may be not getting on with the medication either. So I may have to take him to the vet so he has a jab.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he'll love that. I had a one-off really odd experience today. Cat was asleep on the on top of the cupboard above the water heater thing in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was in the loo, and she suddenly realised that I was there, so she wanted to get down. And she suddenly realised that being on top of the fridge, which is the next thing along, being on top of the fridge was a bit higher than she'd anticipated, because I got a new one and it's a bit higher. And she looked a bit kind of concerned that it was a very long way down, and she's got tiny wee paws. Don't do that. With my care. Anyway, so she sort of like was quite happy of a shoulder as a sort of stepping stone between the fridge and the floor. And then she was so grateful that she licked my ankles. I think I had that before. It was a much peculiar experience. It was sort of like, ooh, stop. And she said, it was very strange.
Jane's offering a very nice a herbal remedy for flea allergy dermatitis, plantain tea, which
plantain tea.
Plantain tea.
I'm
assuming your Sandra is a cat, just by the by.
Actually.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting to know. Plantain is not that easy to come by in this part of the world, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. So plantain tea is great for flea allergy dermatitis. Sorted my Sandra before it got to the oozing stage. Yeah, that's interesting then.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. The other thing for bad skin with people as well as animals is the old cabbage leaf trick.
Yes.
That works a treat, doesn't it? So if anybody's not sure about what that is, basically get a nice dark green cabbage leaf, roll it up in your hand so it's all limp and floppy, and then apply it to your afflicted area, and make sure it stays put, basically, so it's in contact with
That's the tricky bit with the cat.
Yeah,
Never going to
it works really well. Cling film, you can use cling film. You know, if it's on an arm or something like that, you could maybe put elastic bands on it. Obviously not too tight, but you could either use a bandage or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, cling film works quite well. And cling film for
that sort of plant. Right,
pardon?
I know what you mean now. Jane has just said it's not the banana plantain. It's that sort of, you know, the very flat plantain that grows in lawns. Now that I can come across in the gallon. Yes.
Yeah. Have you got some of that in your garden?
Quite possibly. It won't be hard to find.
I haven't got any of that in mine. I don't know why. It's odd.
Probably on a grass verge more likely than my lawn. My lawn's a bit long and sort of unkempt, but you know, like parkland and anywhere where there's cut grass, it tends to be. Yeah,
definitely. Right. Thanks for clarifying that. Actually, yes, very
useful. Thank you. Yes.
I was thinking, I've got some of those. As I said, I've got some of those in the fridge. I'll let you have some of those when I see you.
Madam. Yes.
So yes, obviously plantain, that works quite nicely. I've used that myself actually. But yeah, the cabbage thing's quite good, and that's for all sorts of different dermatitis and whatnot. So yeah, one of my cats, Barney, the ankle licker, she has lots of allergies, and actually she has to have antihistamine tablets 3 times a day. She has to have them. They're people ones. I have to buy them in the chemist. But the chemist will never sell them to me if they know that it's for the cat, not for me. So I have to lie to every single chemist. I hope there's no chemist watching. I have to lie to every single chemist and say I'm allergic to cats, and that's why I have to have these particular ones, because they're not the 1 a day ones. They're the ones that, you know, the slow relief type. And so yeah, it was a specialist vet that told me to do it, so it wasn't just off my own back.
You have to love though.
Yeah. So she has them 3 times a day. She loves it because she knows that once she's had her tablet, she gets a teaspoon of tuna, and the teaspoon of tuna helps the medicine go down. Did you know that? I told Julie Andrews.
It does for a cat. Probably not so much for a person.
Not if you're vegan, no. Oh dear.
Oh dear. No, yes, I do know the plantain plant. I've got the picture in my head. I'll always get the picture before I get the words. That's how I work.
Yeah.
So thank you. Yes, I have the picture.
Yeah. There we go. So that's very easy to recognise. All the main
shaped leaves,
not the centre. Yeah, and Targa Major contains a natural antibiotic. I put E45 anti-itch cream on Sandra to stop the itching. Well, is Sandra a cat or a dog? I wonder, Jane. I'm allergic to E45 cream because it's I can't say it, lanolin from sheep.
Oh yes.
I wouldn't have it anyway because it's not vegan, but I'm actually allergic to it, quite badly allergic to it. Brings me up here, you know, real wheels on my skin. It's yeah, bit of a shock the first couple of times I used it.
Quite a lot of people are allergic to wool. I know I have a problem with it because I handle it in my other life, and I do find that I have to kind of go, oof, can't touch that for a while. It makes me feel a bit peculiar.
I know. I've seen you on your YouTube, on your things going,
oh yeah. It's making me itch. I've got to put it down.
Yeah. There we go. So Sandra is a cat, but do you think she's royalty? I think they all think they're royalty, Jane.
Of course, cats were once
worshipped. Probably are royalty, you know, in some other life, in some other parallel universe. Indeed. They're all definitely royalty.
Well, they got us that well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. What's going on? It's all tickling my face. I'll sort this out.
Okay, you sort your face out. Now I'm just going back a little bit, and we have. Do you have any tips for fun traditional things to do for Yule? It depends what kind of tradition you're following, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where are we?
Back up a bit.
I'm trying to find it so I can stick it up on the screen. Obviously, you've got the Yule log thing.
Yes.
Not bathroom based.
Oh, please.
Oh, I had to get that in.
You did.
Oh, here we go. There. Yeah, so you've got your Yule log, of course, and you can burn them. You can set fire to them if you've got the appropriate equipment. If you've got a fire and a hearth or a fire pit outside or things like that. If you haven't, it doesn't really matter, and you could use it as a candle holder instead. You'd either put candles on there safely, or drill little holes in it, or crack open the glue with a candle holder and put that on there. So yeah, or of course you could have a chocolate Yule log and scoff it.
Well, we've actually got one in the freezer, so it's kind of like my gesture towards having a Yule log.
Yeah. They used to burn them. Was it 12 days? I think it was, or 12 days of Christmas. I think it was.
Yeah, because they were huge, enormous.
So I mean, basically they were tree trunks, weren't they? And apparently they used to, whatever's left over at the end, whatever part of the log was left at the end, they put that under the bed of the main householder, ready for the next year. So it would sort of keep protecting over the remaining 11 months of the year, ready for the following Yule, which I think is rather nice.
It's a great idea, but like I say, not everyone's got room or the facilities to deal with a very large tree trunk.
No, exactly. I mean, and let's face it, most of us have got sort of shoes and goodness only knows what else under shoes and clothes and goodness only boxes under their bed. It's probably not enough room for half a tree.
Exactly.
Not that much these days, because these days people have stuff. In those days, people didn't really have much in the way of stuff. So for a very own log to keep would be quite nice. So, it's a log. That's mine. I love it. And I will call it George. No.
Oh dear.
Oh God. I'm on the mulled wine. Can you tell?
Well, that's a fun traditional thing to do for Yule, because what other time of year do you drink warm, spiced wine? Yeah, I mean, I don't really drink mulled wine, but I can see its merits are quite.
Like mulled cider as well in the new year. Oh God, for wassailing, the mulled cider. Oh,
it is good. Hot cider is a thing, and it's a very good thing.
It is, yeah. Actually, I think I suppose it depends on the wine and it depends on the mulled wine, but I think I almost prefer mulled wine to regular jollop.
Oh really? No, I definitely prefer a regular jollop. But when like last year when we were out wassailing with the drummers, having a hot cider was most helpful.
Oh, glorious, wasn't it? Absolutely.
It was very muddy.
I had about 7 of them,
Well, I didn't, because I moved a long way to drive home, but yeah.
Well, I took the view that they were very, very, very small cups. They were those little polystyrene things, weren't they?
They were.
They were quite small cups, and they weren't that generous with their dosage. Plus, mulled cider is watered down quite a lot, isn't it?
I'm not
sure.
It
probably wasn't even half a pint, actually, truth be told. But I did have about 7. I kept sort of joining the back of the queue.
Yeah, going round again. Always a good thing.
Another one of those. That'd be really nice. Thank you so much. So yeah, so that's the New Year thing, isn't it? The wassailing thing.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah. What other customs for this time? You've got the Yule spider, of course. That's a Scandinavian thing, isn't it? The Yule spider spinning her glittery web on the Yuletide tree.
Yeah, that's much more of a Scandinavian thing, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
I rather like that. There's nothing more wonderful when you go out first thing in the morning and it's been dewy, or maybe if it's been raining, a light rain, but mostly if it's been a bit dewy. And you see all the cobwebs with the dew on them. Oh, at least it gives you a heads up where they are.
Yeah, stop you blundering in and getting a face full of, which has been known in my garden. Yeah. And I'm there kind of coughing and splattering over on a web in my face, apologising to the spider for making it homeless.
Exactly. It's like, no, sorry. Oh, God. Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, spider, but you're in my hair.
It's so funny, isn't it? You sort of end up walking down the garden. It's like you're some kind of ninja warrior. Like, oh.
Yes, coming through.
At least you get a bit of a heads up where they are.
Yeah, yeah. It's when it's on the hedgerows, when you sort of see them laid across all over the top of the hedge.
It's gorgeous,
It's
isn't it? They've been doing
magical.
hedge cutting around here over the last couple of days, and I
Yeah.
don't like it when they do that because it all sort of, I don't know, it sort of chops it off unceremoniously, and I don't really like that. But the bit that I've got, I sort of do all of that little bit by hand and stuff, so that, you know, I don't know, it's probably not nearly as tidy as if I've got a hedge trimmer on it, but it's more personal. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't like to make any bugs and things homeless, and certainly not any birds and little creatures homeless. I'll sort of try and do it as sympathetically as possible without poking myself in the eye. Doesn't always work.
Yeah, I'm always so careful about what I cut and where, but what happens is I tend to not perhaps prune as much as I should, and then it all gets very wild. But and then I'll cut things down because there's birds, and I can't, you know, there's a very small window. You can do things. Not in the mood, not happening.
Yeah, no, as I say, so around here at the moment it's all terribly, terribly tidy because they've had all the farmers out with their choppy thingies. So they're all quite tidy. But at least you can see around the corner, which is quite nice, because obviously as the summer goes on, spring into summer, the roads just get narrower and narrower and narrower.
The hedges all come out.
Yeah, because the hedges get bigger and bigger, and you can't see a flipping thing. But actually, the visibility is quite nice around here at the moment. You can see quite a lot of stuff. And I discovered a lake that I didn't know about, actually, which was quite nice. Yeah. So again, it was purely because they trimmed the hedges, and I was like, "There's water in there. There's water in there." That's sort of out Reigate way. But yeah, so that was a bit of a surprise. I didn't know it was there. A number of times I've been past it, and I had absolutely no idea it was there. So yeah, you live and learn, as they say.
Yes. Now, Susie Quartley has said.
Oh, hi, Susie.
Yeah, she said she'll be broadcasting live a burning of a Yule log and wassail of the apple tree for people to join in spirit on aspects of witchcraft, which must be her channel, which I shall subscribe to because I didn't know she had one.
No, I didn't know she had one either. So yes, that's something we'll do. I don't have one.
Make a note of that.
Oh, ooh. Got more mulled wine in here.
Absolutely. I'm just enjoying a bit of Newcastle Brown, so it's not very magical.
Oh, you're on the brown. You're on the brown. Ooh, that's quite hot.
Well,
yeah. Oh, that would be nice. When I'm assuming that'll be on the 21st, Susie. Let me put my glasses on and I'll put a thing up. I'm assuming that's going to be on the 21st.
Yes, let us know.
Yeah. Where are we? Where's it gone? Why do I do that? Oh, hi, Tina. Red Collector and Dawn Cherry Paul. Hello. Oh, here we go. There you go. There. A burning of a Yule. Well, maybe she's going to do it on. Don't know whether she'll do it on YouTube or whether she'll be doing it on Facebook. Susie, can you put down where you're going to be broadcasting it? And obviously, we can. If you've got a link, we can put that in the comments and stuff too. So, yeah. Well, that'd be good. Isn't it a bit early for wassailing the apple tree? That's normally after Yule event, isn't it? On the run up for Imbolc, isn't it?
Yeah, it's usually towards the end of January, but there seems to be some flexibility in the dates.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't really matter as long as you do it. I suppose if you wake them up too early, if you wake the trees up too early, then if they get their sap rising early, then that's probably not going to do them any favours, is it? That's my thoughts anyway.
Possibly, yeah. I suppose it's perhaps a slightly gentler rather than shouting the living daylights out of them. I don't know.
Or banging very large drums, Heather. I think I'll want to do. Yeah.
Oh, Aspects is on Facebook, Susie says. 21st from, I don't know, maybe 7:30. That's English time, obviously, for anyone who's not in England.
Yeah.
Because I know Dawn Sherry Paul isn't. So, yeah, and it's a Facebook thing.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Where's the glasses? I'm taking them on and taking them off, and now I've lost them. Oh, there.
Well, sometimes
these are the ones I don't like very much. They get on my nerves. Where are we? Right. Now then. Millennium Green. None of the trees are older than 23 years. I usually end up with a Yule stick gone in 2 bones.
You know, it's going to get used up.
Yule stick. It's in the yeah. It's all in the intention, as we've said lots and lots of times, isn't it?
We have indeed.
Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. So Aspects is on Facebook. So there we go. So that's there. So Aspects of Witchcraft, and then we'll have that one on there too. Okay. Yeah. So Susie says it's her moot, which I've been very proud to attend a couple of times. Our moot's always done it as part of the Yule feast. We don't wake up the tree, but wish it well when it does wake up. Ah, it's
Okay,
nice.
Like a pre-sale.
Yeah. Pre-sale, yeah.
Oh, I tell you, for a party, come on.
It's that whole not necessarily waking up, but it's that whole when your mum says, you're going to have to go to bed in 5 minutes. Your 5-minute warning. I don't want to go to bed yet. 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is your 2-week warning. We'll be back.
Yeah. Come on in, Brown, you're through. Yeah. Oh dear. What other traditional things would you do, Heather? So obviously you've got the tree and so on. I rather like the tree thing.
I do tend to do a lot of work with candles and candle magic at this time of year, just because it's so much, you know, it so much seems the right place and time to do it. Not only have you got more hours of darkness to sort of play with, it's just that whole gazing into flames, a candle, working the embers of a fire, burning things in the ember of a fire, that it, you know, because it's there. For me, that works really well. I mean, I know it's a fun traditional thing to do, but I mean, that's the part of winter I love.
Yeah,
that whole thing. And obviously I've got my new candles now, but I've got to, because I got to burn them for 2 hours, I've actually got to, God, they smell amazing.
There's a lot of scrying in that though, and traditionally, scrying and stuff was really done at this time of year rather than so like in the summer months. It was traditionally more. What's going on there? It was traditionally more in the summer month, in the winter months, wasn't it? This time of the year, the dark times. And actually, if you look in a lot of the old spell books and grimoires, you know, a lot of the stuff kind of goes from Samhain right through till Imbolc, and it's that where you've got the scrying and the divination and so on. Yeah, there's a lot of that, and apple magic and so on. So yeah, that's quite nice. So, you know, sort of lots of fortune telling, and yeah, it's just conducive to it when it's dark. I mean, let's face it, as generally speaking, we all rather like the dark, don't we? And it's I don't know, it seems right for magic for me.
It's that very internal focus, isn't it? It's that you're doing the internal work. You know, it's going within, whereas you're much more on the outside when the energy is different in sort of summer and spring and all that. It's a very different feel. But this is the chance to really get into the knotty, deep stuff. And for me, having a meditational stare into a candle or embers actually really does it for me.
Yeah, oh, I absolutely love it. I did I was watching Lucia's book launch thing, which I wasn't able to be live at, which was last Friday. So yeah, I wasn't able to be there because I was otherwise engaged. But I did do a catch up, and it had a bit of an unfortunate effect on me actually, in that she did while she did her book launch, she actually read out one of the visualizations, pathwork is whatever you want to call it, visualizations. And she read one of those out, which I participated in. And obviously this was after the event, but while I was watching it. And it had a very unexpected turn of events for me, and I got really upset. But it just goes to show that it was powerful because of what happened. It was just an unexpected thing that came up with it. But yeah, it was like, wow. I mean, clearly I needed to experience that. That was something that I needed to. Basically, I saw my mum, who I miss very, very much, even though she passed away 15 years ago. I don't struggle with it because obviously a lot of time has passed, but it's still something that's, you know, that's still almost like an open wound and you pick at, do you know what I mean? And yeah, every now and again something will just catch you unawares, and then it's more of a big deal than it would have been if you were expecting it, you know. So yeah, so that was a bit odd, but obviously the fact is that it had that effect. It's, you know, means that it worked essentially, and obviously I needed to do that, and I needed to get that out of my system, which is good because it means that I'm not going to get miserable a bit later on, I suppose. But yeah, it was unexpected though. I wasn't, you know, I sort of sat down thinking, oh, that'd be nice, I'll watch Lucia's book launch. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So yeah,
snuck up on you.
It did literally, and I think that's why it was a bit of a shock to the system, because I wasn't expecting that when I sat down to watch her book launch. So yeah, it was a bit a bit strange really, but these things happen, don't they? And as I say, I'm kind of glad that I've got it out of the way. I suppose if I'm going to be feeling miserable at any point in time, I'd rather do it while I'm on my own watching a little bit of a little bit of YouTube, rather than around the Christmas table. We have a bird.
Oh,
we do. Yes, he's
honoured. Yes, I can see a tail just kind of moving into view.
There he is.
Oh. Oh yes, big green eye.
You see that?
Like, put me down, woman.
You punched me in the leg. That's a bit off. Yeah, bit off. Yeah. Oh, he sat down now. Cool, that was quick. He normally goes round and 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 round before sitting down and sticking his claws in. But this time he decided to just sit down.
Ah.
Wonders will never cease. Absolutely, wonders will never cease.
Yeah, I got a new tarot deck as well. So I had
did you? Which one?
It's the one. It's one of the ones that I saw at yours and liked.
Oops. Oh, one of the ones. I've got about 30.
Well, exactly. Becky does have quite a collection, and I have my collection is very modest in comparison. I've only got a few, but it was the everyday witch one. Not an expensive set of tarot cards at all.
Oh yeah, nice.
They're quite small, so they're very portable and quite easy to work with, and very intuitive. So I enjoyed playing with those. Well, playing with those, it sounds wrong, doesn't it? But, using them this week. Because again, it is that time of year, and I always get drawn to this sort of thing on the dark days.
Yeah. Do you know, I think they're really good cards. I mean, you know, they're not expensive. I think mine were about £8, I think.
Best picture on the back.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think they're excellent. They really are. I like the imagery that's on them, and they're really, really, because I only do the intuitive stuff, or generally intuitive stuff. But they're so easy to read because the imagery is so detailed, and it does exactly what you need it to do. And I think they're excellent, actually. I'd recommend them to anybody. I think they're really good.
Having worked with them previously, I was very impressed. So always, you know, anything that's full of colour has got lots going for it. There's lots to look at and lots to get drawn into, and it's what you notice that's important.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me. It's not good to cough in this current climate, is it? But there you go.
No, so unclean. Where's my bell?
It won't be far away. Oh dear.
Oh, my granddaughter got sent home from school today. Because she coughed.
Well, she could have coughed for all sorts of reasons.
Exactly. She coughed. And they rang my daughter and said she needs to go home. She's coughed. She's 4. She coughed. Seemed a bit green to me. Otherwise, she's absolutely fine. But Evie just coughs. It's just one of those things that she does from time to time, like we all do. We all have the odd cough. Just follow a bit of spit down the wrong way and you cough.
Well, exactly. You kind of sort of inhale your, it's just one of those.
Yeah, and that's what happened. I sent her home because she coughed. And I thought, that seems a little bit
draconian.
Yeah, dramatic. Oh, draconian.
They like dramatic.
Yeah. So I'm having a dilemma now whether to send them in for the remaining couple of days or whether to just have done with it. And
is it worth it?
Yeah, because they're only 6 and 4, so it's not as though they're
missing their GCSEs, are they? So,
no, exactly. Yeah, I mean, they might sort of miss a couple of mud pies and a jigsaw puzzle, but apart from that, that's about it, really.
Wow. So, yes. I mean, Alex has been sent a letter from the NHS asking him to join a COVID study where they send him a test at home, because they're
really?
particularly in Kent, they're obviously incredibly worried that there's school kids, I guess, are spreading it because they're out.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a home test. They'll send him a home test, and then he sends it back in. So it'll be interesting. You're doing your bit to help, aren't you? I said, show dealing.
I've had 4 COVID tests in the last week. I definitely don't have COVID.
No. Exactly. Yeah. It's good.
Definitely don't, unless I contracted it today. But as I haven't been out today, I think that's unlikely.
It's pretty unlikely, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah, I haven't been out and I haven't seen anybody or spoken to anybody until I spoke to you. So there we go. Right. Ooh, what have we got here? Abby.
Abby's got a big question there. That's a big one.
Oh, what a marvellous question. Switched it out.
Yeah. Wow.
Hang on. Let's pop that up there. Any advice on dealing with self-doubt? Had a massive positive energy burst yesterday, followed by quite a bit of anger relating to something that I thought I dealt with. Hit me out of the blue. Oh God, isn't that the worst when it suddenly hits you out of the blue? Because that's what catches you off guard, isn't it? And that's the thing. And if you're expecting something, you can bolster yourself up and make allowances. Definitely getting my bell out, Heather. Yeah, you can sort of prepare what you're going to be doing and how you're going to handle something. It's when you get those curveballs, those are the ones that really knock you for 6. So yes, now let's have a look here. Yeah, self-doubt. Is self-doubt, Abby, in any particular field, or do you just want to talk about it as a general thing? Because obviously there's lots of different ways of dealing with it, both magically and non-magically, in my opinion.
I think it's understanding the pattern of it as well, because what happens is when you've dealt with something, or you believe you've dealt with it, it's like you've kind of gone round in a circle, but you've kind of dealt with it on one round, and it's a bit like a spiral. So it will come round again, probably not quite as severe as the first time, but it's kind of that onion peeling, you go to the next level with it. So although you deal with something, you never completely deal with, especially big stuff. It's always there, and if there is an element of self-doubt in your kind of makeup, you can reduce it by working on it. But I mean, you wouldn't be human if you didn't have some. I'd be very worried if someone told me they had no self-doubt at all. I think that was very odd.
I wouldn't believe them, actually. I wouldn't believe them at all. Or I'd call them coffee socks out the door. So I mean, a certain amount of self-doubt, I think, is not only is it a human trait, but I think it's an essential thing for self-preservation, actually, because if you're so cocksure of something that there couldn't possibly be any element of wrongness or anything as a comeback, if you're absolutely 100% certain of something in your own ability for something, then you're not prepared for any eventualities. And let's face it, life's a very unpredictable thing. So, you might sort of think, oh, well, that's absolutely brilliant, and it's going to do this, 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 and this. And then suddenly it snows and you can't do what you want to do, or behave in the way you can't behave in the way that that you want to behave, because something's thrown you off center. So yeah, I think it's essential to have a little bit of self-doubt, simply because it's that reserve, that reserve key almost, because that prepares you for the eventualities of change. So I think there's something there. But obviously, if you've got an overriding self-doubt, then that needs dealing with, because too much of it is also debilitating, isn't it? I mean, you can have, you can make various confidence concoctions, amulets, talismans, teas, soaks, lotions and potions. I mean, you can do things like that. But then you've got various mantras and chants and things that you can do too. So, you can approach it from lots of different angles from a magical point of view. But of course, on a practical point of view, changing the subject, my lampshade suddenly started going round in a very, very slow circle, which was a little bit weird, to say the least. And then I realised that there was a cat to the other side of it washing, and it was the action of him washing that was moving the lampshade in very, very sorry, it was a bit of a distraction. I thought I had a ghost in. Sorry about that.
Other things that can help are meditations, you know, things like that, to sort of be able to create more of an open attitude and let go of things that the subconscious mind may be holding on to. So obviously by making potions and things, you're also working on loosening that.
And sometimes there might be a large element of self-doubt in a certain situation, and it may well be that it has a perfectly legitimate reason to be there. You just haven't realized what it is yet.
Yes.
Because it's something that you need to deal with. And that's worth addressing too. So by doing, like you said, that's what I think of it really, is by doing a meditation, you know, sometimes you can look at yourself and say, you know, why am I doubting my ability to do X, Y, and Z? Is it because I'm physically not capable, emotionally not ready? You know, is the timing right? All things like that. And it might well be that there is a perfectly legitimate reason, but you just haven't realized what that reason is. And then it's something that needs addressing, and then you can move past that once you've addressed it. So that's something maybe to think of too.
And quite often when you've got, you mentioned, you know, a positive energy burst, which is something's going on, that sparks things off. And then you've got the anger. Well, anger is really a positive force for change. It's telling you need to change something, because people normally get angry because one of their values is not being met, you know, they're not being true to themselves. So it's worth looking at perhaps what drove the anger as well.
Yeah, I had a dose of
yourself, angry with the other person, angry with the situation or events beyond your control, picking it apart a little bit so that you can see exactly what the problem is. So if you want to work magically with a spell, you get the right one, you get the right thing.
Yeah. So I do think actually your suggestion of maybe a, you know, a meditation of sorts, or just even if it's contemplation rather than meditation as such.
Candle or something. Candle gazing.
You know, get some time with a candle to just sort of just contemplate on the situation. You know, sometimes things have a certain way of clarifying without necessarily resolving, but it's the clarification that I think you need sometimes, isn't it? So that you can then, once you've, it's almost like adding a label to something. Once you've got a label on something, you know what you're dealing with. It's like if you had a cupboard full of tins that had no labels on, you wouldn't know if you had baked beans or fruit salad, which means that you probably wouldn't open any of them because you might get the wrong one.
Yeah.
You know, it's that sort of situation, isn't it? So I hope that's helped a little bit. I don't know whether it has, but I certainly like to just sit in contemplation. That's my thing in situations like that. It's that, you know, why am I doubting this? You know, what is wrong? What's not right? What's wrong? Why? You know, why? Always why? I'm like an eternal 4-year-old.
Yeah. The curiosity and the wish to learn. And Yarrow Witch has said borage can help with courage. That certainly helps her. And Harriet Coleman said lapis lazuli crystal meditation, which can remind you of your own worth. So when you worked out what it is, then you can pick the ingredient or the approach that's going to, you know, do you need more courage? Is it about self-worth? Is it about another matter entirely that needs a closer examination?
Yeah, very true. Very true. You're welcome, Abby. Yeah. It is interesting though, isn't it? I had a dose of that this week myself, and it's difficult to avoid the knee-jerk reaction, especially when anger's involved. It's really, really difficult to avoid that. And I did manage to avoid the knee-jerk reaction and carried out exactly what I would have done in the knee-jerk reaction anyway.
We do.
So yeah. Yeah, it's, and sometimes, you know, if you do that, if you can defer the knee jerk, if you can defer that, it's so simple to make that decision, but make a wrong decision. But if you give yourself time, you know, it's true what they say about time. You know, time's a healer. Not only physically but emotionally. And you know, on that emotional level, when you're cross about something and you're in the moment, it's so difficult to think clearly, isn't it? So by giving time and then, you know, just sort of picking it apart a little bit, that really helps. If you then choose to do, like I did, exactly what you would have done in that situation. I didn't hit anybody. I would have done if somebody had been in the room, but they weren't, so that was all right.
Yeah.
Not advocating violence, but if you get cross, yeah, you know, and once you've kind of analysed it, and it's like, and then you've got the opportunity, you can say, well, you know, I could do this or I could do that, and that would be better because this. And you can use the old-fashioned thing of writing the pros and cons on paper. All of those kind of things, you break it down. Because when you've broken it down into bite-sized chunks, you know what you're spitting at people, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Frankie Fines has got a very interesting question there as well about tarot cards. I think that you'd be a better place to answer that than I will. But
I'm gonna have to put my specs on, aren't I?
yeah, you'll need your specs for that one.
I will. Right. Hang on. Right, what have we got? Tarot cards intrigue me and I want to learn to read. I've noticed that there are different tarot card themes. Does that mean you need several decks? Is there a universal deck? Is this a silly question? It's an excellent question. It's not a silly one at all. And it's one that lots and lots of people think and wonder about and don't like to ask. And that's why I'm quite glad you've asked it. So yes, I have got lots and lots of tarot decks personally because I love them. I think they're lovely, and because I like the artwork and the imagery on them. And I find, personally, I find different decks work well with different moods that I might have. And not only that, but also if I'm reading for different people, I'll ask them to pick which deck they would like me to read from. So it might be that somebody would choose the Wildwood Tarot, for example, or Pagan Cats, or the Rider Waite, or whatever it might be. You know, people sort of think, oh well, you know, that's the main one. And I mean, essentially, I suppose the main one would be the Rider Waite, but they don't really do it for me. I have to say, they just really don't. I find them boring. And what I like is to really get stuck into the imagery of what goes into the cards. I'll give you a really good example of that. A few years ago, Heather and I were down in Glastonbury, weren't we?
We were.
And we were poking around in the shops like you do, as is obligatory when you go to Glastonbury. And we went into one of the bookshops, and on sale was the Ravens Prophecy Tarot. I love ravens. I love covids. I like anything black and dark, as you can probably tell. And it's like, oh, Ravens Prophecy, how marvellous. I'm going to get them. I think they were £9 reduced from about 30 quid. It seemed like a jolly good deal to me. Got them home. Actually, got them to the pub. Didn't get as far as home, did we? We got into the pub. And we got these cards out. And I was really disappointed with them because they don't have the in-depth imagery that I was really expecting. And not only do they not have a particular in-depth imagery, they've got very few ravens on them, haven't they?
It was quite bizarre. It was like, oh, okay.
Where's he gone?
Not as described.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, you know, people will see them and they, you know, they sort of think, oh, Ravens Prophecy, they're a bit deep and dark, you know. And so somebody that's, you know, got a bit of a sinister bent might choose for me to read from them. But I don't find them as good as the ones that Heather was showing you earlier. And I like the whole big imagery thing, you know, the whole thing of lots and lots of colour and lots of things going on in the picture, because not only does it help me focus on the question that somebody's asked me, but it helps me answer that in an appropriate way. Because what I find is that, you know, you can read anything in a book. You can go with your oracle cards and sort of say, oh, this card is this and this card is that. But it's the application of that card to the situation and the querent that's important, not just this is what it means. Because in different circumstances and different days, you could actually pull out exactly the same card, but it would mean entirely different things on different days, even for the same person, because it's a different question. So it's going to have a different answer. Whereas if you're just reading it in a book, it's just going to have the stock answer, isn't it? So yeah. So in answer to your question, yes, you can actually have just one set of tarot cards, and you can learn them. You can learn them parrot fashion. This means this, and this means that, and this means the other. But I don't particularly work that way, and I've got a good, general idea of, what means what. But I tend not to use them, and I go with my intuition by what I see in the cards. So if for example, somebody, think of a question, Heather, quick.
I can't.
Will I get the bus tomorrow? Yeah? Will I get the bus tomorrow? Something really silly, something really irrelevant. But if somebody said to me, will I get the bus tomorrow? I would look in the card. I'm clearly not going to get a tarot card that's got a bus in it.
It's not that obvious.
No. But it might be that I see, footsteps walking away from a doorway of a building. It might be that she's smiling in the picture on the card. It might be that the person in the card, on the picture on the card, is smiling. But of course, that then would be relevant whether it was a good thing person got the bus or a bad thing the person got the bus. So you can tailor the question, the answer, to what the person's asking. Do you want to get the bus tomorrow? Good God, no. I'd much rather go by a car. If she's got a grumpy face, your car's broken and you're going by a bus. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. If I have a question that says something like, am I going to pick lots of things tomorrow when I go and see my lady with her sacks? Am I going to come back with loads of stuff?
Yeah.
You do the same thing. You could tell something in that card would be an indicator that will say either it's a successful trip or, yeah,
exactly. And you can, obviously you've got the different suits. Obviously you've got the major arcana, which are standalone cards, and it's a really good idea to really have a basic knowledge of what each of those individual cards mean. Although it doesn't have to be an in-depth knowledge, a basic knowledge will do quite well. But again, you can still read the individual cards, which is quite useful. But knowing what the different suits of cards mean in the minor arcana, that kind of gives you a first footing, if you like. So if someone sort of said, oh, I'm having trouble with talking to my daughter, if all of a sudden you get some cards that come up and they've got the cups or vessels in them, it's an emotions card. So it's an emotional thing rather than a distance thing and things like that. Yeah. You can get used to one particular set of cards, or you can use lots of different ones depending on your own personal mood. And if you're reading for other people, different people will require you to use, or if you let them, different cards. And I find that if I give them a choice of 3 or 4 different decks, they've already made a choice in what deck they want me to read from, which means that they're invested in knowing what they're doing, because you've already made them make a choice. What do you want me to do? This, or this? Oh, use them. So instantly they're invested in those particular cards because they've chosen them. And I find that really helps too. It's just a way of channeling their energy into your cards, so that you can read them, really. So yeah, I hope that helps. Did you ask anything else? I've got to put my specs on.
No, it's just Christina said she's got a Raven deck that's not any good. It sounds like it's the same one, hardly any imagery.
Yeah, Raven.
Promised so much and delivered so little.
Yeah.
Coolness. I'm in the wrong room for mine. Mine are all upstairs. Oh.
Got it. That one. Yeah. And on the front, you're like, woo, Raven.
Hello. Yes.
But on the actual deck itself, I mean, one of them is a pair of scissors, and it's like, okay, where's ravens and skulls and things like that? It's like
lacking a raven count.
Yeah, definitely lacking on the raven department. So yeah, shame really. because I was really quite excited when I got them. They were supposed to have been lots of money, and I got them for in a sale, and they were, as I say, I got them in Glastonbury, and we went trundling off to the pub to look at them, didn't we? And we're like,
oh yeah, got very excited.
yeah.
Oh no, they're not the same as Christine's. Hers were red on the back. Oh, apparently.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So my advice to you, Frankie, is to go and find a pack of cards that you like the pictures on.
Yeah.
You know, don't sort of think to yourself, oh, you know, this is the proper one, and that's not the proper one, and this one's better than that one, and so on. And what I would say would be buy them, get them because you like them, because they, you know, they've got pictures in them that you like. Like I said, I don't work with the Ravens Prophecy ones because I'm disappointed with them personally. So find a deck that you like the imagery on, you know, not just the back of the card, but the actual cards themselves. Have a look at them. Sometimes in the shop they'll have like an A4 folder that got the cards in a plastic sleeve, so they don't want you to touch the cards, but you can kind of look through and see what the imagery's like. Or if you're on Amazon, I think you can have a look on there too. So have a look, and if you like the pictures, if you like what you see, you're far more likely to read them better and more in depth, because you're really looking at what you see. You're really looking at the picture on the card. You know, and an exercise when I'm teaching tarot, I've taught tarot several workshops now, and when I've taught it, what I do is actually it's quite good fun. So what I'll usually do is find a picture, a large picture that's not a tarot card. Actually, I'll do it with you now. I'll show you what I mean instead of explaining it. Bear with me, Heather. Entertain the masses.
Bear with. Yeah, I mean, I say, as Becky said, definitely find a set of cards you're drawn to, and that you kind of think, I'd enjoy those just to look at them. Never mind putting pressure on yourself to have to read from them. Yeah, there are some amazing sets out there that I like but don't have any connection to. There are a lot of sets that I find incredibly confusing, or I don't like the imagery of. I'm very much at the beginner stage in terms of using cards for divination, but it's taking the pressure off yourself and finding something, and that's why I enjoyed these. I saw these at Becky's one time, and they're not they weren't expensive. They literally came from China or somewhere. You know?
Mine were about £6, I think. How much?
Yeah, I think mine were. Yeah,
about £6. Okay.
did you
I
find
had a picture. Okay, so this is the sort of thing that I would tell people on a workshop that I was running for tarot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the picture up to the camera for about 2 seconds. I shall look like, you know, ready, steady, go. I'm going to hold it up for about 2 seconds and then take it away. And I want you to tell me the first thing that you see. Doesn't matter what it is. It's just a random picture, this one. It doesn't matter what it is. But I want you to tell me the first thing that you see. And the chances are, how many of us are there? There's a fair few of you. I've got 20 in. So the chances are that there will be probably about half of you will see the same thing first of all, because there is something in the foreground of this picture. But there'll be 10 of you that will see something different. And there'll be a reason for that. All right. So are you ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Bit blurry. Hang on.
okay.
Okay. Right. Okay. So instead of everybody rushing at once, who saw the tree? Probably there's a lot of people that will say, oh, I saw the tree. But there's loads going on there. Loads and loads. So who saw the moon? Did you see the moon, Heather? What was the first thing that you saw? Was it the tree or was it something else? Heather, what did you see first?
Oh, the moon.
The moon. That was the first thing you saw. And yet that's a very, very small part of that picture. If I show you again, here we go, crescent moon, moon first, sunset. Yeah, you've got the sunset.
Oh, someone's seen the
dragon. Yeah, dragon. Yeah. Okay. Anyone see the Grim Reaper? Universe. Yeah. There we go. Crescent moon. Moon, dragon, moon, crescent moon, sunset moon, universe. Okay. Now if I show it to you again, hang on, put it.
The light sort of bounces off it. Yeah, it was.
There we go. So you've got a tree, you've got the moon, and you've got the sunset.
Oh yeah.
You've got a boat. Now this is not a tarot card. This is a picture that's in my kitchen normally. Got the boat. You see the Grim Reaper down there?
Oh yeah.
There he is. What else we got on there?
Mountain.
Yeah, mountains, tree, and all sorts. And you've got the boat and a river, and you've got swans, and you've got a distant thing. You've got loads going on. You've got birds and owls and all sorts of stuff going on in there. But if that was a tarot card, and if that was a tarot card, and it came up, and somebody was saying, I don't know, that they were thinking of going on a journey, and that card came up, then everybody there has seen something different, first of all, but that would be how they would then start interpreting that if it were a card. So it's like a starting point, and then you start telling a story from that point onwards. So if somebody said, I'm thinking of going on a journey, and you saw the crescent moon, that might going with your intuition, you might sort of say, well, it's a very small moon, it's a very small chance that you're going to go. It might be that you saw the boat, and it might then give you an indicator as to what that journey might be. It might be that you saw the tree, and the tree isn't going anywhere, in which case no, that journey is probably not going to happen for a bit. There might be some things that are getting in the way. You need to sort out some problems beforehand. Might be that you see the Grim Reaper first, and you would answer by, that journey is going to have to be put off for a while. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, so it's a good way of doing it. So you can read anything. You don't have to read tarot cards, but they've got a certain order to them, and that makes it easy. But by kind of practicing and getting a pack of your tarot cards and saying, right, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 seconds to see what is the first one, cut the deck, look at it, put it away, and then look back at it, because you've looked to see what the first thing was that you saw, and then take it on from there. So yeah, so that's that. If anyone's interested, I can always do a tarot workshop on here or some sort.
Yeah, that's quite a big thing, and I think there's a lot of people who'd find your way of doing it actually a lot more interesting and intuitive than some of the more forced approaches, which I've never gelled with, which is why it's taken me so long to come to tarot, because until I knew you and how you were working, it's like I thought, no, it's not for me.
So I've been doing tarot since I was 8. I got my first set of tarot when I was 8. My brother gave it to me for my birthday. He's a lot older than me, and that's what I'd asked for. And he sort of raised an eyebrow and said, oh yeah, and off he went. So yeah, so I've been doing it a long time, and the traditional way of learning, partly because I don't have the memory, but the traditional way of learning, it just doesn't sit right with me, because the one size fits all meaning and answer to everything just doesn't it just doesn't work for me. It just isn't that, because everyone's different. And if the same person asked me exactly the same question today as they asked me last February, would the answer be the same? Probably not, because 10 months have gone by. Might get the same card, but you'd have to give a different reading. Even if it was the same person, same card, same question, you'd have to give them a different reading, because 10 months has elapsed, and what a 10 months it's been, So yeah, it's a funny one really, but it's a good exercise, and anyone can do that, literally just cut the deck, see what you see first, see what you make of it, ask yourself a question, look at your card, put it away, Notice the first thing, the very first thing that you see on that card. That's the key. So yeah. Tina says, could the moon mean an emotional journey? Yeah, very much so. Could well do, but it could mean all sorts of things depending on the circumstances of the question. You know, after asking about the bus again, it's like, could be a very turbulent time. You might be in for a long wait, and then 2 come at the same time. Who knew? That happens with a bus.
It does.
So yeah, here we go. Jane, no one else is directly involved. It was a recurring situation that caught me, I suppose. Ah, right, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Right, well, we've been wittering for ages. Well, I have.
Well, it's kind of your area. It's kind of your area. But I do think a workshop is worth considering, quite possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be, as I say, if people are interested in that, I can run, you know, I've done workshops before. I've never done online workshops. But there's no reason why I couldn't potentially. If anyone's interested, then that's something that that I can certainly deal with. If anybody is interested, if you put in a comment tarot workshop or something like that after this is finished on the comments at the bottom, then I can gauge whether it's something that, you know, is worthwhile doing.
Well, you got 3 already. Yeah, 5.
Oh, cool.
I think that's a yes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. Yes, but that'd be fun. I need a deck first. No, thank you.
Yes, you do.
When you don't have a deck. So as I say, I've done it with my kitchen picture. You can do all sorts of stuff. How about oracle cards? Last question. Yeah. What's the difference? Okay, so oracle cards are really different, and I don't get on with oracle cards. I find them very I'm going to get my bell. Coughing over there. Yeah, so oracle cards, I find they're a little bit ambiguous, which does the whole one size fits all thing even more than tarot does, but they're also not very in depth. I just find them a bit
surface.
Yeah, wishy-washy is the phrase that's popping into my head. And I don't mean any disrespect for those people that use them and work with them or create them. But for me, I find them a bit wishy-washy. They're just not, there's no kind of definition with them there. And you've got each card means something totally different. But they are they're wishy-washy, but they're also specific at the same time. And sometimes it's actually quite difficult to apply what you see in an oracle card, the meaning of an oracle card, and each one has a very specific individual meaning rather than some generic meanings like you get with tarot and, you know, changeable meanings like you get with tarot. Whereas oracle cards, it's like you get this card, it means this, and then therefore it's that. But then it's specific.
Does it not require any skill to read, really?
Yeah, and so
it's all there, laid out for you. There's no flexibility or intuition or interpretation.
I really can't. It doesn't work for me. So actually, I've got some oracle cards, mostly because I bought them by mistake.
They're pretty. Like, oh, that's pretty.
No, usually because there's been 2 sets of cards next to each other, and I'm like, oh, I could buy them, or I could buy them. I could buy them both. No, I haven't got the money. Control yourself. I'll just buy one. Pick up the wrong flipping pack each time. I've done that loads of times. So I bought like Witchy's Tarot, Witchy's Oracle, picked up the Oracle. You know, things like that. And it's irritating. Maybe it's the universe telling me something I don't know. But maybe. But I just don't personally get on with them. I find them, you know, that just don't work for me. You know, other people like them, but not for me. I prefer tarot. I can really get my teeth in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Angel cards. Yeah, a lot of people like the angel cards, don't they? But as I said, they just don't do it for me, unfortunately. It's just, you know,
I think they're affirmations and as little pointers, but they don't have the depth and the flexibility and sometimes the dark aspects that you the awkward aspects you have to look at. They kind of skate over that little bit for me.
Yeah, no, as I say, it just doesn't do it for me really. So yeah. Okay, so next Wednesday is the day before Christmas Eve. Are you still up for a chat, Heather?
I'm about if anyone's wanting to listen to us yatter on. Yes.
Good. Well, I'm
Be
about.
around.
So let's have a natter, shall we? Even if everyone's busy, but we can have a chin wag anyway,
We
can't
can
we?
do a pre-Christmas chin wag. Yes.
Chin wag, definitely. So yes. So in that case, I will see everybody as soon as I can see everybody, and I'll see you even sooner. I hope, Mrs. And we'll see you all again next Wednesday. So. Cheerio. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. It's free.
Exactly. We like a thumbs up.
Oh, good thumbs up. Bye.